This podcast is sponsored by Renewal by Andersen of Central Pennsylvania, which is hosting a 29-year anniversary sale. Ooh. And in honor of this anniversary, Renewal is offering 25% off windows and doors at no money down, no payments, and no interest for a whole year. Visit renewalbyandersen.com before this deal ends at the end of June. A retail theft ring used kids in their crimes. Meanwhile, the highest minimum wage in the country has been proposed in Pennsylvania. A bill that would require moments of silence in schools in honor of 9/11 has moved forward. Finally, this dog went to get groomed, but got high instead. I'm Claudia Dimuro, and you're listening to Today in PA. Philadelphia cops have busted what they called a, quote, large retail theft crew, unquote, reports NBC 10. The crew targeted pricier stores like Lululemon within the city as well as surrounding areas, and notably used teenagers and kids, one of whom was as young as 9, to assist in their crimes. This was reportedly because these minors didn't have prior criminal records. Said Inspector Ray Evers, quote, "It's absolutely unbelievable that an adult would use a 9-year-old to commit a crime. It's absolutely a disgrace." Ringleader Janiyah Robinson and the other adults involved have been charged with theft and other related offenses. Pennsylvania's minimum wage has stayed at $7.25 an hour since 2009, reports NorthCentralPA.com. State Senator Christine Tartaglione wants to change that, which is why she introduced a bill that would raise Pennsylvania's starting wage to $20, a proposal higher than the $15 thrown out there by other lawmakers. Said Tartaglione, quote, "The inability of hardworking people to care for their own basic needs or those of their families is morally wrong and economically unsound." Speaking of the state Senate, members unanimously passed a bill on Wednesday that would require schools to observe a moment of silence to annually recognize 9/11, states the Times leader. This legislation would also direct the state education department to identify model curriculum that would inform students about the significance of that day and why they should never forget, although the teaching of this curriculum would be optional in each school. Explained the bill's author, Representative Jim Haddock, quote, "The tragedies that occurred on September 11th, 2001 changed our country forever. It is 23 years later, and we are still studying and analyzing the effect that day had on our foreign policy, national security, society, and our values." The bill now makes its way to the governor. Kelly Fowler dropped off her dog Teddy to a PetSmart in Bucks County last week for a bit of grooming, thinking he'd come back nice and coiffed. Begins PennLive. Instead, Teddy returned from this beauty session way more sluggish than usual, so much so he couldn't hold his head up. And he was thirsty. Fowler immediately rushed Teddy to the vet where he was examined and diagnosed with THC ingestion. THC being the compounded weed that gets you high. Now, it should be noted that Teddy's urine test came back negative for THC, but the vet explained that these kinds of tests have a high rate of false negatives because of the large volume of urine that's needed to complete them, hence the resulting THC diagnosis. The PetSmart has claimed they reviewed video footage and saw no sign of THC exposure during Teddy's visit. They did, nevertheless, cover Fowler's $500 vet bill. Teddy, by the way, is now totally fine. Whether he went straight for the milk bones after this grooming visit remains unknown. That wraps up today's episode. For more news, check out PennLive.com, and please don't forget to rate this podcast wherever you may listen to it, and to leave it an honest review, too. Thanks in advance, and as always, thanks for listening. I'm Claudia Dimuro, and I'll see you for Friday's episode of Today in PA. This podcast is sponsored by Renewal by Andersen of Central Pennsylvania, which is hosting a 29-year anniversary sale. Ooh. And in honor of this anniversary, Renewal is offering 25% off windows and doors at no money down, no payments, and no interest for a whole year. Visit renewalbyandersen.com before this deal ends at the end of June.